Welcome friends. Today in this video I am going to discuss the network theorems, and in that I am going to discuss superposition theorem. तो हम लोग क्या देखने वाले हैं, लेक्चर नंबर 7 जो कि पार्ट है हमारा, कौन सा चैप्टर है, डीसी सर्किट हम लोग डिस्कस कर रहे हैं। और ये डीसी सर्किट कौन सा सब्जेक्ट का पार्ट है, बेसिक इलेक्ट्रिकल इंजीनियरिंग। तो बेसिक इलेक्ट्रिकल इंजीनियरिंग में चैप्टर 1 ही हम लोग देख रहे हैं, जिसमें डीसी सर्किट नाम है चैप्टर का, और उसका लेक्चर नंबर 7 हम लोग देख रहे हैं। इन दिस लेक्चर, दैट इज लेक्चर नंबर 7, आई एम गोइंग टू डिस्कस नेटवर्क थ्योरम्स। और नेटवर्क थ्योरम्स में बहुत सारा थ्योरम्स है, जो कि नेटवर्क मीन्स बहुत सा, मान लीजिए एक कॉम्प्लेक्स सर्किट है, नेटवर्क है, तो उसको सॉल्व करने के लिए बहुत सारा थ्योरम्स है। ठीक है, उस थ्योरम के हेल्प से हम लोग ईजिली उस सर्किट को सॉल्व कर सकते हैं। मान लीजिए कोई भी एक कॉम्प्लेक्स सर्किट है, उसको अगर सॉल्व करना है तो हम लोग ये बहुत सारा जो थ्योरम होगा, मान लीजिए सुपरपोजिशन होगा, तब फिर हम लोग थेवेनिन एंड नॉर्टन देखेंगे, तब मैक्सिमम पावर देखेंगे, तब और भी है 2 3 5 6 थ्योरम्स है जो कि हम लोग डिस्कस करने वाले हैं इस सीरीज में। ठीक है, तो फर्स्ट थ्योरम विच इज़ द सुपरपोजिशन थ्योरम, I am going to discuss this one, that is the superposition theorem. Previously I discussed the principle of superposition and principle of homogeneity, which is very important for the linear system. For the proving the linearity, what we need to prove? We need to prove the principle of superposition and the principle of homogeneity, and this is the superposition theorem. This is the different thing than the previous one. Okay, let's start with the first topic. What is the first topic? Tell me. Principle of superposition. So first theorem which I am going to discuss here is the superposition theorem. Superposition theorem. What is the superposition theorem? The response this network theorem is very important for any examination of electrical, in which the main subject, the focus subject is the electrical engineering. Okay, that may be A, J, GATE, whatever may be the examination. Okay, UPSC, BPSC optional, UPSC optional. Okay, so in superposition theorem, the response in any bilateral and लीनियर नेटवर्क, बायलेटरल एंड लीनियर नेटवर्क हम लोग ने पहले ही डिस्कस कर चुके हैं। बायलेटरल नेटवर्क क्या होता है, जिसके थ्रू करंट जो है ना बाई डायरेक्शन में फ्लो होता है, इरेस्पेक्टिव ऑफ द पोलरिटी ऑफ द वोल्टेज, जो कि मैंने पहले ही बता चुका हूँ। और लीनियरिटी के लिए क्या होना चाहिए, प्रिंसिपल ऑफ सुपरपोजिशन एंड द होमोजेनिटी शुड बी सेटिस्फाइड. Okay, so what is superposition theorem? The response in any bilateral linear network containing more than one independent sources voltage and or voltage या फिर करंट या फिर दोनों या फिर कोई भी हो सकते हैं. ठीक है, सो वोल्टेज एंड और करंट सोर्सेस is the sum of responses produced by each source acting alone when समझ में आया सुपरपोजिशन थ्योरम क्या बोला कि पहले पूरा डेफिनेशन लिख लीजिए, पूरा एक्सप्लेनेशन फॉर द सुपरपोजिशन थ्योरम इन मेनी यूनिवर्सिटी एग्जामिनेशन और डिस्क्रिप्टिव पेपर्स you need to write the superposition theorem for the 5 marks or 10 marks. So you need to explain all the major points related to superposition theorem, from explaining to explaining means a statement, explaining the statement, and then you need to explain with the examples. Okay. So acting alone when number A, all other, very important, all other independent, independent, okay, independent means which does not depend on any other voltage, all other independent sources are short, all independent voltage source are short circuited, or we can say replaced by an internal resistance, because for the replaced for the voltage source, the internal resistance, ideal voltage source for the ideal voltage source, internal resistance is nothing but the 0. Okay, replaced by their internal impedances. ठीक है. नेक्स्ट सेकेंड थिंग इज व्हाट, all other independent voltage source is okay. Now current source. Okay, for all other independent current sources are open circuited or replaced by same. Okay, open circuited why? Because for the ideal current source, the internal resistance is nothing but the infinite. Internal impedance. Impedance means complex. It is a complex parameter which is the opposition to the current. Okay, it may be inductor, practical inductor which have the inductance and the capacitance. We will discuss impedances, okay, in the coming classes. Okay, number C point is what, when all dependent source को क्या करना है, डिपेंडेंट उसको कुछ नहीं करना है, डिपेंडेंट वोल्टेज एंड द करंट. Why I am writing this description or what we can say explanation to the theorem? Because if anyone asks about the what is the superposition theorem, then you need to explain or write all these things. Okay, because without any statement, because if you need to explain the superposition theorem, then you need to write the whole things, what is this and how we will proceed for the superposition theorem. Okay, remain as they are, and therefore these sources are neither short circuited nor open circuited. Okay, so now I am going to discuss. Okay, superposition theorem. What is this one? Superposition theorem, it explains the response. What is the response? Response means what? Response means, suppose if you applied suppose there is a circuit like this one. Okay, let it be voltage and there is a resistance like this one. if you applied this voltage V, then in this circuit the current I flows. Means if you applied V means this one is the excitation, because of this excitation or this voltage we get what we get, this current. Current means excitation. By giving the excitation we will get a response. So, this current will be your response, not excitation. Excitation means which excite the circuit. Already I given the definition in the previous lecture. Okay. So, what is the superposition theorem? The response. Response means which is created, which is generated by the excitation. The response in any means any circuit. Okay. Bilateral and the linear network. What do you mean by bilateral and the linear network? Bilateral means, for example, what is the example of for the bilateral? R, resistance, inductor and capacitor. Why it is a bilateral? Because the through the bilateral elements से क्या होगा, the current can flows in either direction irrespective of the polarity of the voltage applied. Okay. Linear means what? Which satisfy the principle of superposition and the homogeneity. Okay. So, for example, resistance, inductor and the capacitors, ideal RLC are the linear elements. Okay. Bilateral and the linear networks already I discussed in the previous lecture. Okay. Now, containing this circuit, this complex circuit is containing more than one, very important, more than one what? Independent sources. Independent sources means what? Independent means which does not depend on the other parameters. Independent, what is independent? What is dependent? Voltage source and current source I already discussed in the previous lectures. You can go for that one. Okay. More than one means कोई भी सर्किट हो जो कि बायलेटरल है, लीनियर है, उसमें एक से अधिक इंडिपेंडेंट सोर्स है, तो हम लोग ये प्रिंसिपल अप्लाई करेंगे. एक से अधिक हो तब. ठीक है. इंडिपेंडेंट सोर्सेस का मतलब क्या हो गया? कोई भी हो सकता है, वोल्टेज हो सकता है या फिर करंट हो सकता है. ठीक है. तो इसका रिस्पॉन्स क्या होगा? मान लीजिए कोई एक लीनियर है, बायलेटरल नेटवर्क है. ठीक है. उसमें एक से अधिक इंडिपेंडेंट सोर्स है, तो उसका जो रिस्पॉन्स होगा, मान लीजिए रिस्पॉन्स निकालना है, तो वो क्या होगा? सम होगा. क्या होगा वो? सम ऑफ रेस्पॉन्सेज प्रोड्यूस बाय इज सोर्स एक्टिंग एलोन. मतलब अगर मान लीजिए कोई भी सर्क्यूट है, उसमें एक से ज़्यादा है, मीन्स दो या दो से अधिक है, क्या सोर्सेस, इंडिपेंडेंट सोर्सेस, दो या दो से अधिक इंडिपेंडेंट सोर्स है, तो हम लोग कैसे निकालेंगे रिस्पॉन्स? पहले एक को कंसीडर करेंगे, सोर्स 1 को कंसीडर करेंगे, उसके बाद रेस्पॉन्स निकालेंगे. फिर उसके बाद सोर्स 2 को कंसीडर करेंगे, सोर्स 1 को कंसीडर नहीं करेंगे, सोर्स 2 को कंसीडर करेंगे, एक एक करके कंसीडर करके और सबको ऐड कर देना. दैट इज सुपरपोजिशन. सुपरपोजिशन वर्ड कहीं भी आपको दिखे तो इसका मतलब क्या हो गया? ऐड करना है. सिंपली व्हाट वी विल डू, ऐड. ओके. सो इस सोर्स एक्टिंग एलोन करना है. जब अब देखिए क्या करना, मान लीजिए दो इंडिपेंडेंट सोर्स हैं, तो एक सोर्स को कंसीडर करना है, तो दूसरा सोर्स को क्या करना है? सो now this will explain what we need to do while we need to consider only one source. So all other independent voltage source, जो भी मान लीजिए दूसरा मीन्स एक सोर्स को कंसीडर कर रहे हैं और दूसरा अगर सोर्स है, अगर वो वोल्टेज सोर्स है, तो उसको हम लोग शॉर्ट करेंगे, शॉर्ट सर्किटेड. ठीक है. शॉर्ट सर्किटेड करेंगे या फिर इंटरनल जो इम्पीडेंस होगा वोल्टेज सोर्स को उससे रिप्लेस कर देंगे सीरीज में, क्योंकि वोल्टेज सोर्स को रिप्लेस करते हैं सीरीज में. और यदि इंडिपेंडेंट अगर करंट सोर्स है, तो उसको क्या करेंगे? ऑब्वियसली ओपन सर्किट करेंगे. अगर सोर्स है इंडिपेंडेंट करंट सोर्स, तो करंट सोर्स को क्या करना है? हम लोग को ओपन करना है या फिर रिप्लेस करना है किससे? इंटरनल रेजिस्टेंस से, सेम एज अबव. सो अगर मान लीजिए उस सर्किट में डिपेंडेंट वोल्टेज या करंट सोर्स है, डिपेंडेंट मतलब क्या होगा? जो दूसरे पैरामीटर पे डिपेंडेंट हो, दैट इज नोन एज डिपेंडेंट वोल्टेज और करंट सोर्स. तो डिपेंडेंट वोल्टेज या करंट सोर्स को क्या करेंगे हम लोग? कुछ नहीं करना हो, उसको जैसा सर्किट है उसको वैसे ही रहने देना है. देयरफॉर दिस सोर्स नाइदर बी शॉर्ट सर्किट. जो डिपेंडेंट सोर्स होगा उसको ना ही शॉर्ट सर्किट करना है, ना ही ओपन सर्किट करना है, जैसा है वैसे ही रहने देना है. सो दिस इज This is the statement about the superposition theorem. This is quite lengthy, okay, but you need to explain all the things in if you got the question related to superposition theorem. Okay, now important point is that about the superposition theorem, that this theorem is not applicable, obviously not applicable for, tell me, not applicable for the network containing non-linear, because in a statement only, in the statement it is already given that the circuit should be linear and bilateral. So, it is not applicable for non-linear element, for example डायोड, क्योंकि डायोड का जो एलिमेंट है वो क्या, नॉन लीनियर, क्योंकि वोल्टेज एंड करंट का रिलेशनशिप क्या होता है इसमें, नॉन लीनियर. नंबर सेकेंड पॉइंट, एंड आल्सो दिस इज नॉट एप्लीकेबल फॉर यूनिलेटरल एलिमेंट्स मीन्स जिसमें एक ही डायरेक्शन में करंट फ्लो होता है, डेट इज आल्सो डायोड. So for the unilateral or non-linear element, this theorem, that is the superposition theorem, is not applicable. Okay, now this theorem is also not applicable for finding out the parameters like power. Why? Not applicable to non-linear parameters. Non-linear parameter क्या है बताइए? पैरामीटर्स. व्हाट इज द नॉन लीनियर पैरामीटर्स? इट इज़ द पावर. क्यों नॉन लीनियर पैरामीटर? क्योंकि पावर इक्वल टू आई स्क्वायर आर होता है, आर तो कांस्टेंट है, सो पावर इज डायरेक्टली प्रोपोर्शनल टू करंट का स्क्वायर, सो नॉन लीनियर हो गया. ठीक है, सो नॉन लीनियर पैरामीटर के लिए भी ये एप्लीकेबल नहीं है. ठीक है, सो दिस इज अ बेसिक कंसेप्ट. नाउ वी विल सी हाउ वी विल फाइंड आउट द हाउ वी कैन यूज द सुपरपोजिशन थ्योरम. Application applied, how we will apply it. Okay, let's see the question, or we can say example. Find the, see question, what is the question? Find node voltage, find the node voltages V1 and V2 using the superposition theorems. Okay, superposition theorem, let's see. Okay, so let the circuit be like this one. Okay, let this be the circuit. Okay, okay, it's visible. If you have any doubt, kindly comment in the comment section, and do not forget to subscribe this channel, that is the one stop for. इस चैनल को जरूर सब्सक्राइब कर ले ताकि आपको लेटेस्ट अपडेट मिले टाइम टू टाइम. Okay, 8 volt, and this is your 2 ohm resistance, and this is also your 2 ohm resistance, and this is your 5 ohm resistance, and this let it be 2 ohm resistance, and this is the current source, let it be a 4 ampere resistance. Okay, this is the plus minus DC, plus minus means DC. Now let the nodal voltage be V1 here, and this be V2. Okay, what we need to do, we need to find the nodal voltage, that is V1 and V2, using the superposition theorem. And here 4 ampere current source and the voltage source be ideal current and voltage source is ideal. We need to find V1 and V2 using the superposition. So we will now going to start solving this question. Okay, what is the solution? We will see by step, so that it is easy to understand. Okay, step 1, what we will do here? How many sources? Here sources present, independent sources, not dependent. How many independent sources? Independent sources are 2. Independent sources are how many? 2. Independent means constant, here 4 and here 8. So there is a 2 sources, one is current and one is voltage. So as there is a 2 sources, so we can apply the superposition theorem. Also this network is linear. Why? Because this circuit contains the only resistance is linear element. सो नेटवर्क कंटेनिंग द लीनियर एलिमेंट, ऐसा सर्क्यूट या नेटवर्क जिसमें सिर्फ लीनियर एलिमेंट है तो वो लीनियर है, लीनियर नेटवर्क हो जाएगा, ठीक है। और ये लीनियर नेटवर्क हो गया, ठीक है। और ये बायलेटरल है क्योंकि रेजिस्टेंस है सिर्फ सर्क्यूट में, ठीक है। सो नाउ वी आर गोइंग टू सॉल्व, सो वी विल रीड्रॉ अ सर्क्यूट। सो फर्स्ट what is the step 1? Only one source will be considered. So only the current source of 4 ampere is considered or is applied. Step 1, जब आप अप्लाइड करोगे ओनली करंट सोर्स ये वाला, तो इसको आपको क्या करना पड़ेगा बताइए। दूसरा क्या बोला है इसमें, व्हेन, अगर आप सुपरपोजिशन थ्योरम कर रहे हो अप्लाई, तो इसमें क्या लिखा है ये वाला पॉइंट, व्हेन ऑल अदर इंडिपेंडेंट वोल्टेज सोर्स को शॉर्ट सर्किट करना है और रिप्लेस देयर इंटरनल। तो हम लोग तो करंट सोर्स कंसीडर किए हम, इसमें क्या किया, करंट सोर्स बचा क्या है 8 वोल्ट, 8 वोल्ट बचा मीन्स एक वोल्टेज सोर्स बचा। सो वी विल रिप्लेस वोल्टेज सोर्स विथ द वोल्टेज सोर्स, वी विल राइट हियर द सोर्स मीन्स विथ सोर्स, वोल्टेज सोर्स। सो voltage dependent or independent, the independent voltage source is shorted, क्योंकि इसका इंटरनल रेजिस्टेंस 0 होता है और रिप्लेस बाय द इंटरनल। सो वी विल अगेन ड्रॉ दिस सर्क्यूट बाय दिस कंडीशन अप्लाइंग द स्टेप नंबर 1. So now I am going to draw this one. This will be like this one. So this is your current source, that is the 4 ampere, let it be. Now assume this nodal voltage as V1 dash. Why V1 dash? So to differentiate that this is only for the current source. Okay, so we have assumed V1 dash and this 2 as the V2 dash. Okay, and all other parameters are same, that is 5 ohm, 2 ohm, and this is also 2 ohm, this is 2 ohm. Now what we will do with this 8 volt voltage source? We need to short circuited this one. So we will shorted this one like this one. Okay, so this is your equivalent circuit. Okay, now simplify this circuit. Okay, how we will simplify this one? See, these two are in parallel, because if the current is flowing from this point, this current will divide into two paths, and that is also in 2 equal parts. So resistance division. So these two resistance, that is this and these two, will be act as in parallel. So equivalent to this will be 2 parallel with 2, that is the 1 ohm resistance. So it will be equivalent to 1 ohm resistance. So now our simplified circuit will be look like this one. Okay, so one resistance is connected in parallel. Okay, and again this is your resistance, and again one resistance is given below like this one. Okay, so this is your V2. What is this one? V2 dash. Why V2 dash? Because we have assumed, oh here is mistake, it should be your V2 dash. Dash means 1, means consider, dash means V1 dash means 1 dash means we will consider one source, that is current source. V1 double dash we will assume in the second step, that will be corresponds to your voltage source. So this is your V2 dash and this is, let it be V1 dash. Okay, any doubt? If you have any doubt, kindly comment in the comment section. Okay, so this is your 5, this is your 2, and this is your 1 ohm resistance. Okay, any doubt? And this is your 4 amps current. Okay, so now what we will do again, tell me. Now we will assume the current, let this current be I2 and this current be I1, so that we can solve easily. Okay, now here by looking at the circuit we can see this is your 4 ampere current, let it be capital I. This I current is divided into 2 paths, so we will apply the current division formula. What is this? Current division formula. What is the current division formula? How to find out I1? I1 will be equal to total current, that is the I, into the opposite resistance. What is the opposite total resistance? This is your opposite resistance. So these two will be act in your series, and this is equivalent to 5 plus 1, that is 6 ohm resistance. So 6 divided by total means 6 ohm plus this 2 ohm, that is 2. So it will be your I equal to 4 ampere. So we will put here 4 ampere. So 4 into 6 divided by 8, that will be your 3 amps. And similarly for I2, what will be I2? We can easily subtract 4 minus 3, or we can find out the same formula, that is I into 2 by 8, means 4 into 2 by 8, that will be equal to 2 to 1 amps. So this is your I1 and I2. Hence what will be your V1 dash? V1 dash will be what will be the voltage drop, plus minus. So resistance into current. So what is the resistance? 2 ohm into I1. 2 into I1 is 6 volt. And what will be your V2 dash? What is the V2 dash? V2 dash, tell me what is the V2 dash? V2 dash is the voltage across this branch, that is, this is your 1 ohm resistance, and the current flowing this one, and the voltage across this one is your V2 dash. What is the current flowing in this branch? Tell me. I2 only, because this 5 ohm and this 1 ohm is in series. अगर सीरीज में रेजिस्टेंस होगा तो क्या होता है? करंट सेम होगा. So this I2 will flow through 5 ohm and this 1 ohm also, 5 ohm and 1 ohm also. So this is nothing but your I2. So your V2 dash will be resistance R into I2. What is R? R is nothing but the 1 ohm into I2 is the current flowing through the 1 ohm resistance, that is the Ohm's law, simple. So this will be nothing but your I2, and I2 is nothing but your 1 amps. 1 amps, but this is the your voltage. We are finding out the voltage. So 1 into 1, so it will be your 1 volt. Okay, so we have found out here V1 dash and V2 dash easily. Okay, if you have any doubt, kindly comment in the comment section. Okay, understand now? Understand? Okay, now we will move for the second step, that is step 2. What we need to do is step 2, we will consider second source. We have considered here the 4 ampere means current source we have considered. Now we will consider your voltage source. Okay, let us start with the voltage source. Now voltage source is only applied. With the applied, and the other voltage source अगर आप अप्लाइड कर रहे हो तो बचेगा क्या? बताइए. इस सर्क्यूट में वोल्टेज सोर्स अप्लाई कर रहे हो तो ऑब्वियसली एक करंट सोर्स वी विल लेफ्ट, मीन्स क्या बचेगा? करंट सोर्स. सो अगर आप वोल्टेज सोर्स को कंसिडर कर रहे हो तो करंट सोर्स को क्या करना पड़ेगा? इंटरनल रेजिस्टेंस से रिप्लेस. इंटरनल रेजिस्टेंस आइडियल करंट सोर्स का क्या? इन्फिनिटी. सो वी विल मेक इट एज ओपन सर्क्यूट. सो वी विल ड्रॉ दिस सर्क्यूट and only applied with the current source open circuit. करंट सोर्स को हम लोग क्या कर रहे हैं? यहाँ पर ओपन सर्क्यूट कर रहे हैं. सो दिस विल बी, वी विल ड्रॉ अगेन सर्क्यूट डायग्राम. सो फर्स्ट इज योर करंट सोर्स. हियर इट इज करंट सोर्स. We have replaced it current source with the open circuit. Okay, then in parallel with that one is your resistance, that is of 2 ohm resistance, and again there is a one resistance of 5 ohm resistance. You need to also mention the unit. I am only writing the numeric value, that is 5 or 2, so that it should be faster. Okay, so it is 2 ohm, and there is one resistance of 2 ohm which is in series with a voltage source. This is your voltage source of 8 volt. It is a plus minus. Okay, this is your circuit. Okay, for only voltage source is applied. Now this point, this nodal voltage, we will assume V1. What? This is your second step, or we can say second source. This is for the second source, we will write V1 dash. If there is 3 sources, then we will write triple dash. So V1 double dash and V2 double dash means this is the nodal voltage corresponds to a second source, that is the voltage source. Okay. So this is your circuit. Now in this also we will apply the same method, that is the current division formula. For that we will, what we will assume? We will assume this current as I, this current as I1, okay, this current as I1 and this current as I2, let it be. Okay, we will assume this circuit as like this one. Okay, now for this circuit we will first find out find out current. What will the current? Current means total voltage, how much? 8 divided by total resistance. How we will find out the total resistance? See, total resistance means total resistance with respect to 8 volt. So these two will be in series. Why this two is in series? Because this is open circuit. So this current will flow through this one, means this current will be also be I1, because in this circuit there is open circuit, so there will not be any current. So this is also I1. So these two is in series, these two is in series. So this is series, and so this will be add up, that is the 7. So series is 7. Now this series will be act in parallel with 2, and so finally this 7 and 2 will be parallel, and so equivalent to this, that is 7 parallel with 2 will be act as in series with this 2 resistance. So 2, this will be your equivalent resistance. So we need to find out the equivalent resistance, and for finding the current, voltage divided by resistance will be your current by Ohm's law. So 8 divided by R equivalent will be how much? Tell me. 7 is parallel with 2, so 7 into 2 by 7 plus 2, and there is a 1 plus 2. Okay, 7 14 by 9, 14 by 9 plus 2. So this will be equivalent to 9 by 4. No, this will not be 9 by 4, this will be equivalent to how much? 32 by 9. So by putting here R equivalent, that is 32 by 9, this will be nothing but the 4, that is 9 by 4 amps. This will be your I current. I am using the current division method here, but you can use any method which I have discussed already. सर्किट एनालिसिस के लिए क्या क्या एलिमेंट है, नोडल हो गया, KVL हो गया, KCL हो गया, मेश हो गया, जो आपको ठीक लगे, जिससे आप इजीली कैलकुलेट कर सके, you can find out by that method. So what will be your I1? I1 we will apply the current division formula. So simply total current, that is I in parallel resistance. How much is the parallel? I1 you need to find out. So parallel resistance will be act as 2. So 2 divided by total resistance, 2 plus this 2 will 5 and 2 will be in series, so that is 7. So it will be 7. So I is how much? 9 by 4 into 2 by 9. Okay, so this will be equal to half amps current. And similarly we will find out for the I2. I2 will be your 9 by 4 into current will be 7 by 9. Simple, it is a simple calculation. We need to find out what we need to find out, V1 and V2. So now I1 I2 we found out. Now we need to find out V1 double dash. V1 double dash will be what? Voltage across 2 volt. So what we need to do, this is your current I1, this is your voltage V1 double dash, which is the voltage across the 2 volt. So resistance into I1. So resistance is how much will be act here? 2 into I1 is how much, tell me. I1 is half, so it will be cancel out, so it will be 1 volt. V1 dash will be 1 volt, and your V2 double dash will be V2 double dash means this is your V2 double dash means this branch. So resistance is how much, 2 ohm into I2. I2 is how much, tell me. I2 is 7/4. So by finding out this one, this will be your 3.5 volt. This is your step number 2. Now we will move for the step number 3. Step 3 is how, what? Step 3 means we are finding out the response. What is the response? Means our target means response means our response is V1 and your V2. तो हम लोग ने क्या किया है, एलोन वोल्टेज सोर्स को कंसीडर किया है, एलोन करंट सोर्स को कंसीडर कर चुके हैं. नाउ वी विल ऐड अप दो, जो मेरा स्टेप 1 में रिस्पॉन्स आया और स्टेप 2 में जो रिस्पॉन्स आया उसको हम लोग ऐड करेंगे और दैट विल बी द योर रिजल्ट, फाइनल रिजल्ट. सो स्टेप 3 इज व्हाट, यूजिंग द सुपरपोजिशन थ्योरम, using the superposition theorem, V1 equal to V1 dash plus V1 double dash. So that will be equal to 6 plus 1, that will be equal to your 7 volt. Okay, and what is your V2? V2 will be V1, not V1 because it is a V2. V2 dash plus V2 double dash will be equal to how much, your V2 dash? V2 dash na, V2 dash in step 1 is 1 volt, V2 dash is 1 volt, and step 2 your V2 double dash is 3.5. So 1 plus 3.5, so that will be equal to 4.5 volt. So this is your answer. Okay, so this is all about your superposition theorem. We have solved one numerical or example, we can say example, how we applied the superposition theorem and how we obtain the solution to the questions. Okay, and we have also discussed what is the superposition theorem in detail. Okay, so this is your first theorem, that is the superposition theorem of the network theorem. In network theorem we have discussed your superposition theorem. This is your lecture number 7. Now in the next lecture number 8 we will discuss your Thevenin theorem. Okay, for the time being, if you have any doubt, kindly comment in the comment section and kindly subscribe this channel, that is the one stop for all for getting the latest update. Thank you.